Franklin County Commissioners meeting, September 11th, 2018.
Good morning. Welcome to the regular board meeting for the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, September 11th, 17th anniversary of 9/11. Present this morning are Commissioners Cook and Commissioner Peck. Commissioner Miller is out of town on business attending an environmental or Energy Communities Alliance function in Washington, D.C. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order and ask you to join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have minutes from August 28th and September 4th. Are there any requests for changes, deletions, additions, anything?
Approve the minutes as read for the chairman's signature.
Okay. I'm sorry, is that a motion or just a...
Just approval.
Okay, so minutes...
Trying to get away from saying a motion that's not needed.
Well, I think that's correct. Minutes will stand approved as presented. Next item of business is public comment. Not seeing anyone from the general public. I do see our representative from Civil Legal and from Human Resources. You want to be part of the public and make comments? No? Okay, very good. All right, so we'll move on to office business. Do we have payroll, rosters, and warrants this morning?
We have two in front of us. Fund expenditure being the first one, 12 miscellaneous items. Current expense, boating, safety, jail commissary, solid waste, etc. The bottom line of those items is $198,090.88. Keith has reviewed them, and I think Tom Westerman and Rosa have audited them.
Okay, so I'll second the motion for approval of fund expenditures as presented. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Second and final is county road and motor vehicle payroll. Bottom line of those two items is $111,578.91. Mr. Beaton and Raul have edited them, audited them.
And I will second the motion for approval of county roads and motor vehicle expenses as presented. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so those are approved as well. And Mr. Cook, I believe you did sign that other one, is that correct?
I just did.
Okay, great. And there's that one. Okay. Didn't recall seeing any consent agenda items, and I don't see any on this agenda, so we can skip item 3 on the office business. It's not needed today. So brings us to administration office business. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you. The first item is a matter that's come before the board a couple times for discussion. This relates to the assignment of the lease at Wilson House to RCCH, who's the acquisition owner of the Lord's operations. The board was not desirous to sign an outright assignment of that existing lease. We reworded this a little bit and it's before you. I'll just point you to the language changes. There's an additional whereas. It says whereas the lease requires the written consent of the Board of Commissioners of Franklin County is necessary to assign rights under the lease. We added that language, and under therefore we provided for an assignment of the lease for a period not to exceed the earlier of the approval of a new lease agreement between the parties, or June 30th, 2019. That allows us to negotiate a new lease term with RCCH that meets the necessary needs of the county, mission of Wilson House and Human Services, as well as the real estate needs of the county. I think this is consistent with what the board preferred. And by signing this or approving this resolution would allow them to continue operations and begin that process of negotiating a new lease, if we would anticipate some of that before.
Commissioner Cook, any comments on this?
No, I think it's a good move forward at this point.
Okay. Two things. One, I think the changes, the adjustments are spot on. The only other concern I have that I don't see in here that I think we can overcome, and simply get Jen's attention back there, is the issue of gifting. Now that this is a public for-profit, a private for-profit hospital chain, for us to lease them this property that was clearly well below market value, $1 a month or $1 a year, could be construed as gifting. So I just want to say for the record that I see it as an exchange of goods and services here, where what we are getting in exchange on behalf of the people of Franklin County in return for that very cheap lease rate is the opportunity to learn about this new provider, see whether or not the services they continue to provide are in the best interest of the community, and give us time to evaluate properly what is a reasonable lease amount. So I just want that to be part of the record, that there's no gifting here. We're doing this with a clear mind that there's an exchange of benefits. Okay. This resolution is marked copy. Is there one that needs to be signed, or did I already sign this and forgot? Oh, these, okay.
2018-279.
Oh, okay, there it is right there. All right, so Commissioner Cook, there's the copy. You have one too? Okay.
With that, I would move for approval of signing lease and amendment extending lease term with Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital to RCCH Healthcare Partners, an affiliate of Capella Healthcare, for the property located at 210 North 7th and 224 North 7th in Pasco, known as the Wilson House.
Okay. Second, any comments or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Go. This copy that way.
The next item relates to final operating agreement with Greater Columbia Behavioral Health. It is a joint agreement with all of the 9 counties that participate in GCH to allow us to move forward consistent with the state laws that have recently been enacted. And I don't see Kyle here to address specific questions, but this has been reviewed by legal representatives from each of the counties
A couple of times. They had comments come back, reread lines, sent it back out again. And it's basically an LLC allowing the Greater Columbia Behavioral Health to spend down some of their revenue as they're going into an ASO by the end of the year, which this contract will be null and void at the beginning of 19 anyway. It's just a short term, but it's just a stopgap that allows them to carry on business and start spending down some of the reserves.
Well, I'm sure glad you said that, because I was about to give you 15 minutes of why I voted no, but maybe I'll change my opinion based on what you just said. So this only goes until the end of this calendar year. Okay. These various iterations and red lines, apparently I was asleep at the switch because I don't remember seeing those. Did they go to all the commissioners, do we know, or?
Should have.
Boy, I don't remember seeing it, and I'm not saying it didn't. This is something that was of significant interest to me.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not saying it didn't come to me. It wouldn't be the first time that something got past me.
Yeah.
So I just want to flip through here. I'm going to save the money on the highlighter that I ran out of ink on this. So let me just, in light of that new information that it only goes to the end of the year, let me see if I can just find the one thing that comes to mind that might still be an issue. And while I'm doing that, would you mind educating me on what happens come January 1st?
Probably have to come out with a new LLC to, formalize go in with the MCOs.
Do we think it would be a new LLC, or would it be an effort to try and carry this one forward?
I don't think they'll want to carry this one forward. I think we'll start this process from what I've understood so far. It may not be a complete overhaul. I'm sure there's parts of this that will carry on.
So one of the concerns I had is that the only way that this thing can go out of existence is the Secretary of State of our state does that to us, or we do it to ourselves through a unanimous vote of the county authorities. So if any of the 11 don't want to abandon this and want to continue it past January 1st, the rest of us are hard bound. There is no termination clause other than that. There is no termination clause for any county to exit independently and go do their own thing. And that's a pretty tough hurdle for me to get over. So that was one.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Sure,
please.
but no, educate me.
Under Article 6, 6.5, it says the county authority may voluntarily resign or otherwise withdraw the county authority.
On 90 days.
90 days, correct.
Yeah, so we're in September, October, November. I guess we do have 90 days left, right? So, good. I had forgotten that. I did mark it. I just forgot about it. So, thank you. Let's see. Yeah, that's Article 8, third paragraph.
Although I did not see a 12/31/18 termination date for this.
Well,
Is that?
I didn't see that either, and I also saw that if there is a dissolution of capital contributions, if you're not paying your capital contributions, you've got 60 days to make good on that, but it's 90 days to withdraw. I can live with almost anything to the end of the year as long as I've got insurance that it's going to go away. But I'm needing to find that. Just real quick, some of the other concerns that you'll hear me raising in January when we take this a little further is that I've always had concerns that there might have been a little bit too much authority delegated to the staff at Greater Columbia. There didn't appear to be enough oversight, my opinion, that's all. But this has pages of delegated authorities, and they are deep and wide, and too much, in my opinion. Then there's some other minor things about, if this board wanted to send you as our delegate or as our representative, our authority appointing you isn't sufficient for you to vote. Well, I don't see any statutory reason why that has to be. If the legislative authority deems that you're qualified to go and represent us, then that should be sufficient, because you're not voting for yourself, you're voting for the board. One of the authorities granted is in 5.3.14, where the staff could enter into any and all other agreements for any purpose. And it says, in such form as the executive committee may approve. Well, form and content are different things. I've marked all these up here when I was sharing with you. And again, if this came to me and I missed it and didn't provide these edits sooner, then my bad. But I just don't remember having seen it. I remember discussing it and that it was coming, but I hadn't seen it. Paragraph 5.3 under power and authority is intended as the overarching umbrella clause to constrain the staff's authority in these delegations, but it says that without limiting the scope and generality of the executive committee's actions. Well, that's pretty broad. It says you can do more than the executive board allows, you just can't limit it. That's kind of scary. And then
Open
some,
checkbook.
yeah, so I think it's all stuff that we can deal with. I'm really glad to hear that this is only intended through the end of the year. My only remaining question is, how do we assure ourselves of that in this agreement?
Well, I think basically what's going to happen is this, the Greater Columbia as we know it today will basically go away at the end of the year,
Right.
which would eliminate this.
Well, this has the same name, but this is correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is a totally new organization. This Greater Columbia Behavioral Health LLC is 100% different than what exists today.
It's forming the LLC under Greater
Legally, I
Columbia.
mean, they're two totally separate entities, so. But I agree that the manner of operation is very much like what we have today, and that's probably the root of my concern. But like Keith, I don't see anything in here that says that this ends at the end of this year. And if this were going to be in effect beyond the end of the year, I really would have to vote no, because these are not, to my way of thinking, minor concerns. I think these are significant issues.
Yeah. Well, as I say, as far as I know, that the organization as we know it today will go away at the end of the year, and this is just a stopgap, allowing the revenues to be spent down until
What are they going to
states.
spend those down on?
Well, be able to spend it in-house, to the consumers, or the contractees.
Okay.
They don't want to give it back to the state.
Right. Gives us the legal status to continue with our existing contracts and spend money to provide services to the public. Okay. So I'm good with that. My concern again is about I have a thought as to why they might insist on it, the county commissioners. I'll come back to that in a second. As I say, my concern is just having something to affirm that this is going to expire at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I suppose what we could do
Let's just see if Kyle is available.
The thought that I had in the middle of that other thought was when
Morning, Kyle. Do you have this is Bob Cook, and we're in meeting this morning talking about this LLC. I'm sorry, I got the wrong Kyle. Thanks. My big fingers, I got.
I was talking to somebody on the phone earlier this morning who's back east, and I dialed the wrong number and I woke somebody up apparently. I think it's 3 hours later. It's like 8 o'clock there. But
Try Kyle Sullivan instead of Kyle Berry.
I suppose we could execute our 90-day notice on October 1st, just in case.
Kyle, Bob Cook. Good. You have a moment? We're in the meeting discussing the LLC. Let me put you on speaker.
So you put his phone back near that extra microphone, then everybody can hear him.
See if we got it.
Are you there, Kyle?
I'm here.
Okay. So, this LLC, as I'm understanding now, is an interim status to get us between where we are presently and where we plan to be starting January 1st of next year. So this is like a 3.5 month stopgap. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's what Jim Bell, the GCBH's attorney had commented on at last Thursday at the board meeting. He expects there will be changes, but he needed to get something together now to get us, like you had said, to the end of the year. And so he said there should be another document that they revise and send out, whenever, probably closer to the end of the year.
Yeah, so
we'll replace this one.
So we don't see anything in this document that shows an end date for this LLC or this arrangement. So is the intent to modify this agreement come January, or is it to close this out and start a new one?
My thinking was that it was to modify it, but I don't know. I could get you clarification on that. I don't know that for sure.
Okay. All right. When this got sent out for reviews, I won't say that I didn't get it, because I very well might have and I missed it. But do you know, did that go to all the commissioners in all the counties?
I'd have to take a look at the email.
Okay, fair enough. I don't recall seeing it, and so I was caught a little off guard, but it might have been my own doing. I won't rule out that possibility, because it wouldn't be the first time. But I've got a number of concerns with it, and if this is not going to close out at the end of the year, I don't think I can support it as written.
Well, I can certainly contact Jim. I know it doesn't help you for the purposes of today's meeting, but I can certainly reach out to Jim Bell and get clarification on that for you today.
Yeah, so clarification is helpful and appreciated, but it's going to have to be something in the document.
Oh, sure.
It's going to have to be more than verbal. And that would give us 3 months to talk about, what we think this should look like in its final iteration, the new version starting in January. I can understand that even though LLCs are relatively simple to set up, I can understand why Mr. Bell might not want to open one now, close it in 90 days, and then reopen another one.
Right.
So, if we could identify this as the initial operating agreement and put a termination clause of December 31st, then I think I can live with what's in here for 3 months, and then we can deal with it, the issues going forward.
Okay. I can, like I said, I'll talk with Jim, and I'm not sure who in the PA's office he sent it to. Like I said, without reviewing, without taking a look at the email, and so would you?
Well, the PAs are, they're looking at it for legal sufficiency, and it may be completely sufficient from a legal standpoint. I'm looking at it from a policy standpoint. So that's the distinction I draw anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, it might have come to me. I mean, I might have missed it. I don't think I did, but I learned a long time ago that you're never as sure as you think you are. You could do me one other favor too, and this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, but this is a rather substantial agreement between 11 counties, and I had to get to page 3 before it told me what an ASO is. So.
Right.
It's right there, the Joint County Authority ASO Interlocal Operating Agreement. So, I thought at first it was the Association of State Oncologists or something, but I just really wasn't sure. But, so maybe what we can do you know what the timeline is for the other counties to sign?
I don't.
Okay.
I know Jim had indicated that of course, he'd hope to have it sooner rather than later, but, if there's questions, I'm sure Jim's always been very accommodating, and so I'm sure he'll address those.
Well, I've got half a dozen questions here that I'd have to get some comfort on before I could sign on to something in January, but like I said, I could probably live with these for 90 days. But the one thing that I have to have is some sort of a statement in here that this this agreement ends, end of this year, and that the board's executive committee has responsibility for creating a new one. So if we could get that language added for next week, then I think we could sign it and we'd be fine.
Okay, I'll reach out to Jim today, and then I will touch base with you after I hear from him.
Yeah, and just to be clear, not asking to shut down the LLC, just to make this version of the operating agreement expire with the new one due January 1st, and we use the next 90 days to refine this one.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
All righty, thanks. I'll talk with you later.
Okay,
Thanks, Kyle.
thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks for calling in. That was very helpful.
Well, yeah, it's right from,
Yep.
he offered to come over and then I didn't,
So I'll just note one other thing here, and I'll save the rest of these for later. But under 7.8, this would potentially would allow 3 of the 11 parties to dictate policy, spend money, encumber contracts on behalf of all 11 of us. Because the way they do it is they only require a simple majority for a quorum, and then they only require a simple majority of that group to take action. So you could have 3 of the 11 there spending our money. So, okay. Good discussion. Thanks for your patience. Come back to that next week, hopefully with the termination clause added from Mr. Bell. That brings us to
Just have one final item, is approval of MOU with Altered Image Films. As we recall, that was Mr. Michael Charbonneau requested board's approval to use the location within the courthouse for filming a motion picture that he is directing and putting together. We have negotiated some insurance information and covering security costs in that MOU, and now back before the board asking for your approval. I know the board has some questions about the script. We reviewed it. It's a very brief scene that's being filmed of a couple obtaining a marriage license. The film was set in the 1980s, and they want to use the backdrop of the Franklin County Courthouse to provide their scenery for the episode.
As I recall, our conversations revolved around safety, security, costs, and appropriateness, and would it, in its final version, be something that the people of Franklin County would count as a positive, or would it be offensive? And having seen the script and had some discussions, I haven't seen or heard anything that I think would offend the people of the county. And I gather you came to the same conclusion?
Correct.
Okay, I can support it if Commissioner Cook can.
they're showing a fiscal impact here of $29.11 an hour for facilities employee.
Yeah, they're going to have one of Jennifer's staff available to open doors if they need to move any
Okay.
in the facility.
Was this going to be after hours? Wasn't there supposed to be some security involved? Or?
Security will be here, yes. Captain Rushlow will be here.
Is there a charge for that as well?
No, he said they would be here anyway.
Oh, okay. That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Not an additional charge for the security. They will be providing it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Good question, though. I saw the 2911, I didn't see a charge for security.
Yeah. And then it said have employee, so it didn't sound like it was going to cover everybody. But
I saw the number and I saw Roshlow, and I just connected those two and didn't catch the facilities.
so with that, I would move for approval of the memorandum of understanding with Altered Image Films.
Okay, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is approved, thank you.
I have no more administration office business, but will request an executive session.
Okay. This is under contract negotiations. Whom would you like to join us?
Obviously, the board, clerk, myself, Carly Nave, and Jen Johnson.
Perfect, everybody's here. Thank you, Jen. So it'll be executive session under RCW 4230-140 subparagraph 4, contract negotiations for up to, how much time do we need?
30 minutes?
We'll say up to 20 minutes, reserve the right to go early if we're able to finish early. We'll start that at 9:32.
At 20 minutes, did I hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sounds like the door's closed.
Okay. Howdy. It's like magic. Okay, it is 9:50. We have completed our executive session within the allotted time. Is there any need for board action based on executive session discussion? Okay, then not hearing any need or call for any action, what is our next item on the agenda, please?
I do have one last item as a personnel matter. We have identified a candidate to be offered the position of our planning building director. Had a chance to meet with him, had a chance to meet with members of the board, and we would like to bring a proposal to the board to extend an offer to him. Starting salary of $95,929.60 annually, paid semi-monthly, standard health benefits and leave accruals consistent with other county employees. We would add a $2,000 lump sum to defray the cost of relocating to Franklin County. Then there are a couple of financial incentives for him to complete certifications, $2,500 lump sum payable based on passing the American Institute of Certified Planners exam before December 31st of 2019. An additional $2,500 if he passes the International Economic Development Council Certified Economic Developer exam before December 31st of 2020, and a $5,000 lump sum payable upon completion of 3 full years of service in the position, incentive to entice him to be committed here for a period of time. Offer would be contingent upon successful background investigation, and we would like approval from the board to move forward with that offer.
Is it, Jen, maybe this is a question for you as well, but is it a given and is it legally sufficient that these incentives for achieving these various certifications are contingent on his then current and ongoing employment? As in he works for us for 1.5 years, moves on somewhere else and finishes his certification, comes back and says, we have this contract?
We will be memorializing these pieces in an employment agreement that both requires the continued employment for any incentive, but also...
I know it's a little nitpicky, but, you know...
But it's not. I mean, you know, that's the kind of thing that we look for, but also, you know, would... outline a repayment schedule for relocation expenses. You know, we're not going to give him $2,000 and then he leaves in 6 months.
Right.
Because they want to get to the Tri-Cities or something.
Right.
So, you know, we'll detail those out in an employment agreement that he'll be required to sign as well.
Okay, so I suppose our final approval would be based on that actual employment agreement.
Yes.
And so all you really need today is just consensus from the board that these general terms appear acceptable.
Yes.
Sounds like you got it.
Thank you. I will reach out
2-0.
to today.
Did you want to keep that or?
No, I don't think.
Thank you.
Okay? I like the way you broke that out too. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but it works well. It's good. That's all I have. Commissioner Cook, anything else?
Negative.
Okay. We've got a few things coming up in the next 10 days to 2 weeks. I know Commissioner Cook is going to be on an overnight trip up to Spokane on state good roads. He's going to represent the county. Appreciate you doing that. I'm going to be going to a Wassac event, probably an overnight up in Ellsberg on the 20th, 21st, I think it is. And I'm sure there's other things, but those are what come to mind right now.
At the end of the month, plus what you were saying, next Tuesday evening, I'll be up in Spokane well, there is a dinner that night that you were indicating. I didn't see it until I registered in the meeting.
That's part of the Good Roads.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
But then the Transportation Improvement Board that I'm on the board of is the 27th and 8th in Pullman. Yeah, 27th and 8th. So that's
Okay.
a couple of things I got coming up.
All right. Mr. Johnson, you got any trips or travel coming up in the next several weeks that are on your mind? Okay.
Until November.
Kind of asking because I'm looking at maybe stealing a few days in there somewhere, but I've got to look at the budget development schedule and try and deconflict that. So probably I'll keep that in mind. This is the Greater Columbia. Not sure what happened to the clip for that, but anyway, if there's no other business.
I was behind you on the other portion of it.
No, that's mine.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. I stole it from my copy. You got one?
Yes, me too.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other business? Last call.
No.
We're adjourned. Thanks.
Hi, Jim.